Hey everyone, welcome back. I wanted to get a little bit more into the details of using auto layout within Figma. So auto layout is, like I said, a great tool for creating some responsive designs. But there's a lot of different things that we need to learn about in order to use it effectively. So I'm going to create another frame. So here's my nice frame here, and we're just going to call this our auto layout frame. Perfect. Now I'm going to take another rectangle and just place it inside my frame. Now I'm going to go to auto layout over here on the right sidebar. And now I've created an auto layout frame. I'm going to just duplicate another rectangle within this frame. So that way we have two rectangles to work with. Actually, let's just do three as well. So I pressed Command D. You can even use Control D. So let's jump right in. So auto layout frames are really good. I mean, you can create buttons that grow or shrink as you edit the text label. You can build lists that adapt as items are added, removed, or hidden. You can combine auto layout frames to build complete interfaces. So think like cards. You have like a card portion with like the button that's in there. You have text in another frame. Mind you, the button is probably its own auto layout frame. And then you have the image that's a frame as well. So you can build these complete interfaces just with nesting all these auto layout frames. Now let's talk about the different properties within an auto layout frame. So selecting my frame, I'm just going to go to the right here. You can select the direction. This is the direction. You can do horizontal or vertical, and direction describes the way the auto layout frame will actually flow. So I'm just choosing vertical for now. You can choose the spacing between items, which is over here. So this is 10 pixels. I can choose, say, 24. That's perfect. Now adjusting the spacing between using canvas controls or spacing fields in the right sidebar. Now you can do it this way, manually like that, or you can just go over there. Now, padding is another very important part. The padding is going to be your horizontal padding, which you see over here, and your vertical padding. And you can adjust that by either dragging it. I'm just going to select 24. You can even do that manually by using the canvas. Now, the padding is essentially the empty white space between the boundary of an auto layout frame and the frame's child objects. So think of frames as like a parent, and these are little children within them. So like I mentioned, you can set padding uniformly, which is like selecting 24 and 24 here, which will, oops, not that much, that's too big. And you can also go into the nitty-gritty details and just select bottom padding to be 12 and left padding to be 8 or something like that. It really depends on your use case here. Now, the other thing that I haven't mentioned is alignment. Now, you need to choose how to align child objects within an auto layout frame. Both the direction of the auto layout frame and the distribution will determine what alignment options you have available. So, with that being said, say I had a couple of different objects like this. And I'm going to change the direction like that. You can see this is where you can choose the alignment. If I want them to be centered, aligned to the bottom, to the middle. This is the middle bottom, bottom right. You can choose all these different types of directions. If I wanted to, say, make one wider, then you'll start seeing the differences here. So that is how alignment works. Distribution is another key part, and that's hidden in this little menu, the advanced layout settings. So let's get into it. Once you set the alignment rules for your child objects in a frame, choose how those objects will then be distributed within that frame. So right now they're packed, and that means that they're packed based off of the spacing between the items. If I were to select space between, now they're going to just spread out. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm just going to make this a little smaller. Now if I extend this like that, you'll notice that the padding is just automatically spacing itself out. Now, that is because it's set to space between. That's how distribution essentially works. You notice that the frame now doesn't go back, and that's because it is not set to hug contents. Let's talk a bit now about resizing. This is resizing up here. Now, one of the most powerful functions of auto layout is its ability to control the dimensions of the objects in an auto layout frame. So there's different types of ways you can resize. You can make it fixed, hug, and fill. So let's take a look over here. This is set to fixed. That means it has a fixed width of 218 pixels. I'm going to fill the container. That means it's going to fill all the way across, and this is amazing if you want to create frames that are responsive. Look at the top layer in comparison to the two bottom layers. Those rectangles are set to fixed. But say I want my frame just to hug the width of the content within. Now it's hugging the maximum width. These are still set to fixed. Now this one is still set to fill. You can have one, say, set to fixed like this, and then these ones set to fill as well. So that is how resizing works. It's really powerful. Now you can still apply constraints to the auto layout frame itself if it's nested within a regular frame. The constraints section and resizing options will appear, allowing you to really set those options if you need to. So let's take a look here. So you'll notice if I select this, my constraints don't show up because it's in an auto layout frame. Again, my constraints are not here, but I'm going to create a new frame. If I take this and throw it inside this frame by just dragging it over, and I'm going to set a stroke so we can see where it is. I'm going to center it. Now my constraints are showing up here. You can set this to anything you'd like. So the problem is left and right isn't showing up here. That's because it's set to hugging content. So if I say set it to fixed width and leave the hugging up here, that's fine for now. Now is available. And I'm actually going to select all of these items, and you can do that quickly by pressing Shift and holding them, or Control A or Command A. And I'm going to set them all to fill container. And now we're going to see how responsive this gets. So you can still build responsive interfaces even with regular frames combined with auto layout frames. This is a really great way to show how you can build some really great interfaces. And that's how you use auto layout frames.